Okay. Am I audible? Cool. So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Moz and We Talk. I'm Khushi Bhatt, currently pursuing BCA at National University, also host for today's session. Okay, so before getting into the session, let me give you a brief intro of what the talk is gonna be about. Okay, so in this event, we have two amazing fellows who will take us into the world of 3D designing using Blender. And then they will be diving deep into how to start working with 3D designs, then why anyone should use Blender or at least start with it, along with the types of modeling within Blender. Okay, and the most interesting part is there's gonna be a hands-on, which will given by our speakers. So you viewers will be getting the exact idea of how Blender works and how 3D models are built. So I'm personally very excited as my colleagues are going to talk about something really fascinating today. But before we step into the talk, let me first introduce to our today's speakers. So our first speaker is Vishesh Mistry. Hey Vishesh.
Hi there.
Okay, so Vishesh is a tech enthusiast who is always wanting to do something alongside his studies. And I personally know him. He always looks forward to do something unique to fabricate new ideas and turn them into web renders. He is a 3D artist, a game developer, a programmer, and apart from that, he is also a level 4 graphotherapist and a graph designing analyst. Vishesh, if you can speak something about graphotherapy, it would be great.
Graphotherapy is a efforts we put towards changing people's handwriting positively. We find that there are many negative traits in people, negative qualities. So changing them is a very good effort. So graphotherapy is all about that.
Okay, it sounds really cool, I must say. So let me introduce you to our second speaker, Smit Shah. Hey, Smit.
Hi Kushi.
Okay, so he's a 3D artist who turns ideas into realistic renders, and he has skill at modeling, then shading, then animating characters, and has worked with many clients in his 4 years of experience. And he is well versed in using 3D designing softwares like Houdini, then Cinema 4D, Substance Painter, and Blender, of course. And that is not it. He's a game developer too and a music producer, which is really impressive, Smith. This is really impressive.
Thanks Kushi.
Okay, so now let us speakers take over from here. And if anyone has any doubt about this session, please feel free to comment it out into the comment section below. We'll address them at the end of the session.
So let's get started. Smith, are you sharing a screen or should I share mine?
Go ahead. Share yours.
All right. So is my screen visible? Moderators, please check. All right. So let's first start with difference between 2D and 3D. So I'll first start with 2D. So what is 2D? 2D is some stands for two dimensional, anything which has length and width. 2D has two axes. One is x-axis and one is y-axis. As you can see on the image on the screen, this is an image of a square. Okay, and it has two axes, as you can see, the one which highlights in blue color and the other which highlights in red color. So this is all about 2D. Now, it will make sense. It will start making sense when I explain you what is 3D. So let's dive into that. Okay, 3D stands for three dimensional. Anything which has length, width, and depth. See, now you can see this cube here, and you can see three axes which is rolling out. One is the blue axis, the z axis. Other is the x axis, and third axis is the y axis, which is highlighted in green color. So the basic knowledge, the basic idea behind this is, if you see this cube, you will be able to figure out that this has volume, this has something. Okay, and with this comes a very interesting fact. We as humans, we live in a world which is entirely 3D. We see around us, we look around us, it is all 3D. Okay, but when we look at something, our eye processes that image in 2D format, and then behind retina, it gets converted into 3D. And so that's how our brain processes everything and sees in 3D. So this is all about 3D. Let's move ahead. So, Smith, I have a question for you. See, 3D is a very crucial topic to start with. Okay. So, we have to take care of minor details and everything. So, which software would you recommend us to start with?
See, there are a lot of softwares. If you are just a beginner, you can start with a lot of softwares like Maya, 3ds Max, SketchUp, Cinema 4D, and there are many more softwares out there. But personally, I would recommend you to go with Blender.
Okay. So, Blender it is then, right?
Yes.
So, okay, I have a question for you now. Okay, so see, we all know that Autodesk is a very reputed company, and big engineers and very big companies use Autodesk's products in for their production and as their primary software. So, Blender has a alternative, Autodesk Maya, as you said, and 3ds Max. Both are products of Autodesk. So why shouldn't I don't use that, and why should I use Blender?
Okay, I agree that Autodesk is a very reputed company, and in today's era, most engineers and companies use Autodesk softwares as their primary softwares. But I would still recommend you to go with Blender because see, it has an easy user interface, which means like if you are even an absolute beginner, you can learn it with ease. But that's not the same case with Maya. Maya has a complex user interface or UI. And see, Vishesh, tell me one more thing, that why would you pay for a software when you can get the same results with a free software?
Fair enough.
Yeah. So Blender is free and Autodesk is paid. Trust me, it can literally make your wallets empty.
Okay.
And see, one more thing is that the huge advantage of using Blender is it has all the tools you need. If, even if you are a beginner, even if you are a professional, you can use modeling tools, sculpting tools, you can animate, you can do VFX and a lot more things. So that's that. And since we are talking about Blender, let me tell you that it has a real-time rendering engine called EV, and that's a huge advantage over other softwares.
Okay. So let me tell you guys what is a real-time engine. Rendering engine means it renders your images, your objects on the fly. It renders on the spot, so you don't have to wait and you don't have to put extra efforts on your hardware to render stuff. It just renders on the spot, and it does not take up much memory and much hardware requirements. It doesn't have. So yeah, that is what real-time render engine is. So let's move ahead. So let's move ahead to its uses. What are its uses? So
Modeling,
creating 3D art,
motion graphics,
creating complex materials and texturing,
composition,
animation,
VFX.
video plus sound editing. Okay, so with this, now we'll tell you where it is used. Now you know what are its uses, so we'll tell you where it is used.
Okay, so there are literally you can use these softwares in a lot of things, but some of the basic things are first thing is real world simulation tests. So um, for example, you are working on a project like a drone which supplies food packets, but you are not controlling it manually, it is automatic. So if you want to see that you have an object, you have a food packet, and if you drop it from a height, then is it going to affect the food inside the packet? So what you can do is you can go inside Blender or any other software, and you can model the same thing. You can give the rigid body simulations, and what it will do is it will, if you run the simulation, it will drop the object and collide on the plane, whatever you will have at the bottom. So like that, you will be able to know that if is it going to affect the food inside the packet or not. And you can even do fluid simulations, smoke simulations, and a lot more things. Now, games. So we all have played games, right? Like Valorant, Halo, and a lot of games. But let's take Valorant for example. So we do play with agents in Valorant. So how do they make agents? They need to model out the agents, sculpt them, model with any modeling techniques, and in a software like Blender or Maya or any other software. Then they need to rig the character. Rigging basically means like adding bones, which will allow it to pose and animate, and then they can import the same in the game engine. So that's how it works. Now, movies. We have seen sci-fi movies like Avengers and many other things. But see, in movies, you will see that there's a person standing right there, and they have aliens right in front of him, and you won't be able to differentiate if that's a real thing or not. So what they do is they take a raw footage, they make something inside software like a 3D model, and then render it, and they will merge them both in one clip, and you won't be able to differentiate if that's one thing or not. So that's VFX thing. That's how they work in movies. Now, moving on to visualizations. So let's take architectural visualizations. So let's think of an architect. So if he's working on a project, then he will be he will need something, a rough idea that how his project is going to end up. So he will uh, have to create a object or a model something inside Blender or any other software, and then he can know that how his project is going to end up, like at the end. That's the thing.
Okay, so now let's get Blender into your systems. So I'll stop sharing for 1 minute and then reshare again. Basically, it's a very simple process. It's you don't have to do much stuff. So okay, choose any browser you like. Okay, I'll go with Google Chrome because it has an easy interface. I don't know. So head over to Google, just type Blender, and the first site you will see would be www.blender.org. So hit that, and this is how the site looks like. Okay, okay. I personally recommend you guys to download the latest version, which is 2.93.2 LTS. You all okay? With this said, you can also download the previous degraded versions. Okay, it has its pros and cons, obviously, but I would personally recommend you to guys to download the latest version over here. So now head over to the downloads tab over here, and see from here you can download it from your operating system according to your operating system. I am a Windows user, so I'll download this Windows installer. See, there is interesting stuff over here as well. If you have, if you're using a Mac and your Mac is having an Apple silicon chip, so this Blender version is specially for that, the silicon chip users. And this Blender version right here is for those users who have Intel chips. Quite cool, right? Okay, if you scroll down, you will find this experimental version over here. Okay, so what is this? Experimental version stands for beta versions. Like beta versions have the future upgrades which they are going to bring in. So they bring in the future updates on the current version. So okay, they have many bugs in the experimental version. So it is not recommended to use this. Uh, Even Blender doesn't recommend you to use this on production environments. And I personally won't recommend you, if you're an absolute beginner, I would recommend you to use experimental version. So just go up and download it from here. I'll download the Windows installer, which is uh, 170 MB. So it will process. Let that happen. As you can see, the download has begun. I already have downloaded it. So then it's just very simple basic steps. All you have to do is follow the instructions on the installer, and it will guide you through. I won't run the installation for you guys because I already have Blender on my system. So yeah, that's it. So the installation part is done. I'll cancel it.
Okay, so now Blender is in our system. So now what?
That's a very interesting question. Now what? So now comes the main part. I'll quickly show you what a 3D model stands for. I'll show you that. So just hang on a moment. So a 3D model is any object or a digital representation of any physical thing. Uh, Remember the first slide which I showed you, the cube and a square. Okay, so the cube from that was a 3D model. It was 3D. So any 3D object is a 3D model, and it consists of three important aspects. One is vertex, other is edge, and lastly a face. So let's get into that. So a vertex is a point. Just basically think of vertex as a dot, as a point. Okay. Any 3D model consists of uh, dots. I mean vertexes, and any 3D model can have vertexes from counting from 5 to 10 million, 100 million. It just depends on your system how much load it can handle or how much capability it has. So there is no restrictions of how many vertexes you can have on your 3D model. Okay, it is just basic mathematics which we learned in class 5 or 6, I guess. Next is an edge. So when two vertices connects each other, an edge is formed. So this is how an edge looks like. See, as you can see over here. Now moving ahead to face. Okay, so a face is formed when three or more vertices and edges are connected with each other, and a, f- a face can be formed. Well, you basically three vertices and three edges must be connected. There can be more vertices and edges connected, but three is the minimum number to form a face. Think of a triangular shape. That's what a face stands for. All right. So moving ahead, this is the basic idea behind 3D model. So now it's time for types of 3D modeling.
Okay, so let's see what is the first type of 3D modeling, the most basic one. Okay, so first it is primitive modeling. So what primitive modeling means is that working with primitive shapes, and primitive shapes is basically the basic shapes like sphere, cube, cone, cylinder, etc. And if we want to do primitive modeling, we just need to put the primitive shapes in an order to form a desired shape. So that's just some basic thing. Wait, let me show you. Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so let's go into Blender. So when you open up a Blender or a new file in Blender, this is how it will look like. This is the splash screen. It's not very much useful. You will just see the Blender version and this beautiful artwork right here. And if you have been working on on many other projects, you will find them right here. So you won't need to open a folder and browse them and open them. So it's just that. So we have this by default. This is a viewport. This is what we get, a cube right here. This thing is camera. So if I hit the 0 on numpad, then I will switch to camera view, and this is what it will look like if I'll render the image. So this is the output, final output inside this borders. This is a light source, a default light source. It's a point light. It's not that powerful, but yeah, we are not going to focus on that for now. um, Up here we have different tabs for different purposes. So if you want to model something, you can switch to modeling tab. Sculpt something, sculpting tab. UV editing, texture painting, and so on and so forth. So uh, that's that. And right here we have render properties. So you can select your render engines. EV, as we have discussed earlier, it's the real-time rendering engine. And cycles, it's not real-time rendering engine, but it's one of the fastest rendering engines out there. And this is the render properties tab. This is where you can find all the options like you can enable all the other layers inside your scenes and things like that of it. Okay. And this is also another thing, you can enable mist layer, normal layer, and other things. Okay, so that's just the basic thing. um, okay, so now what is primitive modeling? This is a primitive shape, right? This is a cube. Now we get this by default. Now if I want to delete it, I can press delete or X. If I press X, it will give me an option to delete. It's the same thing. Now I can press Shift A. If I want to add anything in any tab, then I will have to press Shift A. Then I'll get all these options: mesh, curve, surface, metabol, and lots of things. And if I go into mesh, we'll see that we have plane, which is just like a face, then a cube that we just had right now, a circle, sphere, icosphere. So I just want to add a UV sphere, right? So I will add it right here. I will place it on Z axis right here, and I'll just create a basic shape. And by the way, if you want to know that what shortcuts I'm using, then you can see it here. So whatever I'll press, you will see it here. Okay, so that's that. So just like this, you can make anything, just a basic model with primitive shapes. So that's that. Now moving ahead to another the other modeling types. Vishesh, can you please? Okay. Box modeling. So box modeling is just like a cube. Just right here we had a cube, right? So wait, let me delete all this. Box modeling is basically adding a cube, and if we want to work with more geometry, we can like go to switch to edit mode from right here, or pressing tab. It will toggle from edit mode and object mode. So we have this vertices right here. This is a vertex. If you don't know, this is a vertex, and this is an edge, and this is a face. So now you know what's edge, vertex, and a face. So this is the basic geometry that we have by default. And if you want to work with more geometry, you can subdivide your mesh, which means adding more vertices, edges, and faces inside your mesh. So if I right click and subdivide, you see that it will add more geometry. And right here I'll have a box. If I want to increase the number of subdivisions, I can do that. But I would recommend you to not go too crazy with this, because it might crash your blender. And if you are working on a huge project, then this is not for you. Just don't go so crazy with that. So uh, okay, so this is our box. We can just basically just select some vertices, scale it down, and I select this face, scale it on y-axis, that's the green one, and extrude it. He looks creepy. So it's not necessary that you just create something like a box. You can even make a whole character, a whole human character, or an animal, anything. You can make literally anything with a cube. But this is just an example of how you can do it. And as long as you keep the geometry simple, it won't affect your performance, and will just your viewport will just run smoothly. um, the next one, Vishesh. Sculpting. So sculpting basically is just like, think of your mesh as a clay. So you need to have dense geometry for that, in order to perform the sculpting. So sculpting is basically you have um, every single brush you need. You can, okay, let me just show in Blender. I'll add a cube. Right here, can you see this tool icon thing? I'll click on it. That's the modifier tab. There are a lot of modifiers. I'll add subdivision surface modifier because I want to add more geometry to it. Then I will increase the geometry, the amount of subdivisions, and will apply. So if I switch to edit mode, you'll see that its topology, it's the same. But if I apply this modifier, you'll see that it's now changed and has a dense geometry. So now we can sculpt it. So if I switch to sculpting mode, we get all these brushes right here. um, some of them are interesting, like if I switch to cloth brush, I can basically like sculpt and make a surface look like a cloth. This one doesn't have enough geometry to make it look like a cloth, but that's just a basic idea. You can sculpt out and make something. So this is just to give you a proper idea, that what is the idea behind different modeling types. So this was sculpting. Next one, Vishesh. uh, Polygonal modeling. So polygonal modeling is just like, not like box modeling, but you need to keep your mesh as simple as possible. You need to keep your vertices, edges, and faces as low as possible, because that's the type of modeling this is. So if you keep your model as simple as possible, then it will not cost performance. And see, if I just add a circle, switch to edit mode, I won't be able to do anything until I just press on vertex selection mode. We have only 32 vertices in the scene. It's literally nothing. We can make anything with this. I can make a cylinder. Then if I go to face selection view, select a face, press I to insert, and scale it on z-axis, extrude it, I can make a window or something like that. You get the point, right? And if you are working on a huge project and keep everything low poly, or the vertex count is low in your scene, then you will be able to render everything like in real time. It's just so fast you can't even do it in high poly models. That's low poly modeling. Now next one, procedural modeling. Now what's that? um, there are a lot of ways you can do procedural modeling, but some people use displacement with nodes inside shading tab. But this session is not for shading. And this displacement nodes includes some nodes like textures and other things which are used in shading, so I won't go with that. Instead, I will switch to shading, but Wait, I switch to solid view again. So this I've installed an external add-on, Sorcar, whatever this is pronounced. So if I hit new and press shift A, I can search for cube. Okay, so there are a lot of options available here. But what I want is create cube. So you won't see anything yet. Uh, if I click set preview, you will see a cube. And this is a non-destructive way of modeling. So if you want to change anything later on, you will be able to change it. So if I want to change the size, I can undo that. Let's say it's the same as any other modeling type, but just with nodes. And nodes is basically like visual scripting. You build a logic, but with nodes, connecting them, and know what I mean. So if I add a subdivide node, you will see it, right? I can increase the number of subdivisions, and I can increase the smoothness to 1, so it will make it spherical. And one more thing, if you want to create an abstract object, you can just create it in 1 minute. Just mess with fractal. If I increase fractal, then you will see this. And if I change it back to object view, we have this. And I can change it back. I can do anything I want. As I said, this is a non-destructive way. So this is it. I can even like not do this. If you don't want to download that add-on, I can create a cube, go to edit mode, add edge loops, select the faces, extrude them, and make something like this. Then what I can do is go to modifiers. I can add array modifier, and I can have a whole city of this thing. Know what I mean? This is on x-axis. This array is on x-axis. I've added another modifier, but I'll put it on y-axis, so it will move on this one. That's how you create something like this. And you can also like just add a cube, add modifier, subdivision modifier, increase the subdivisions, add modifier, displace modifier. This will displace the geometry, the vertices and everything of this mesh. So if I hit new, it will go back to its position, original position. And if I click this icon right here, it will navigate me to this thing, texture properties. Here I can add an image, and an image of like, even I can add my pic to displace this geometry. So how it works is, the brighter values, like white values or brighter values, are they define height, and black values, they define the opposite. So if I add clouds texture, you'll see how it displaces the geometry. I can increase the subdivisions so that it will look better. Can also add let's see, simple deform modifier, set it to twist and increase this. It will create this thing. You can mess around with these values and will get lots of results, which you'll like for sure. So this is procedural modeling. Vishesh, can you please uh, okay, kit bashing. So if you go to your browser, any browser, and type in kitbash.com, it will take you to this page, and here you will have lots of kits available. So like if you want to create a city, right, then you will have all the assets in that pack, in that kit, like a building, a plant, or something like that. So it's just an easier way to model things, and most of them are paid, but there are a lots of them available out there for free. So you can um, import your whole kit inside of a project, and what you can do is you can take an object, place it wherever you want, take an object, place it where you want, and it will create a scene. You can just do that, drag and drop. You don't need to model anything, just use that. Now, hard surface modeling. So see, there are two types of modeling. One is organic modeling, which means modeling living things, or like characters or plants or trees. And one is hard surface modeling, which is basically modeling static objects or non-living objects, like cars, guns, like game assets like weapons and robots, and stuff like that. Uh, so let's just add a cube, switch to edit mode, select an edge. Now notice in real world, if you look closer to any object, any surface, look closer to an edge, you will think that it's a perfectly sharp edge, but in real world it is not possible. Even if you look at a sharp knife, it is not perfectly sharp. But if you look here, it's like nothing is sharper than this. So that's that. So what I'll do is add a bevel. Adding bevel is just like this, adding um, like smoothing the edges or something like that. So I'll do that here.
Making them blunt, right?
That's exactly. And by the way, there are lots of external add-ons you can download to just speed up your processes using if you want to do hard surface modeling, there are a lot of add-ons, and for every single thing you will find an add-on for free too. So that's just a basic box thing. I don't know what is it, but that's something. Now, Vishesh, modular modeling. So um, people do make modular environments. So what they do is they model out some assets like plants, trees, bushes, and things like that, and then put them uh, in a scene in order to create a whole environment. So they basically duplicate a single object like hundreds of times and place it randomly. So that will make it look like an environment. We can also that if you model three things, simply three things, and just you can model out a whole city of it out of that three models. So that's something like that.
You can take an
If I
example of a modular tree. It is an
Yes,
example of modular modeling.
yes. So if I So we have three objects right here. Okay. Um, I can place this cube right here. Place this object right here. So you get the point, right? I model three objects, and I can make a whole big object out of that those three objects. So that's modular modeling.
Next one is non-uniform rational basis spline modeling. This type of modeling basically deals with curves, NURBS curves, which I'll show you in a bit. Uh, as you can see the images right here, like this. This is a mesh created with curves. This is another mesh created with curves. So basically, curve modeling or modeling with curves is can be referred to as non-uniform rational basis spline modeling. So I'll quickly show you guys what I exactly mean. So we are on the Blender screen here. So if I just delete the basic cube and if I go over to the curve thing here, you can see there are two options, NURBS curve and NURBS circle. So if I head over and just add this, see this. This is a NURBS curve, and this curves and such type of curves are used to model stuff. And models made by this curve is called as non-uniform rational basis spline models. So next thing is photogrammetry. So what is that? Okay, think of this as a okay. Just grab your phone. Okay, and let's say you love a scene outside of your window. You look out of your window. You love the scene. Okay, and you want to make similar kind of scene in your Blender, and you want that entire scene to be in 3D. So what you would do is you would just take a picture of that scenery in from different angles, and then you'll just import it into photogrammetry software, and boom, you have just made a 3D model real quick. That is what photogrammetry is all about. So yeah, that was just of all types of 3D modeling available out there. Now let's make something. What do you say, Smith? Should we?
Hello, Vishesh. Actually, I was not able to hear you.
Okay, I just said let's make something. Should we?
Yeah, sure.
All right. लोचा पड़ रही है for some reason.
Smith and Vishesh, if you explain while doing it, it would be great for the viewers.
All right.
Okay. So I'm trying to make a sword right here. Don't know what's going on.
I'm trying to make a lighthouse, a basic lighthouse. That's it.
And don't say that you don't know how to model because it's been long since I modeled something.
Same as me.
Vishesh, there are some questions in the comment section. So wait. Okay. Here's this question on your screen.
See, this is very broad-minded question, like very. Uh, First of all, you gotta decide in which career option you wanna go for. Like for example, I'm talking as a game developer. So as a game developer, starting with Blender and then moving ahead to game engines, and that's how the workflow is basically. uh, if you are if you're an architectural field, then obviously you have to go with the go with dimensions, learn about everything, and then you have to start working with Blender and other 3D modeling softwares. So that's how that's the question answer for your question.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Vishesh, I can figure that you're done with your modeling. So, if you're comfortable answering these questions,
Yeah, sure. I'm done actually.
okay. So, yeah, here's this question.
Uh, to be honest, uh, I like to watch Blender Guru. He's amazing out there. He explains every stuff in detail, and you can understand core concepts much easily. And he's such a jolly guy. You will enjoy watching his videos, I'm sure. And okay, if you are an absolute beginner and you want to start your journey with Blender, I would suggest to watch the Donut series of Blender Guru. He will explain you right from very scratch to the advanced concepts in just one series. You'll just model a donut and a cup, but he'll explain you everything. So I would personally suggest you to start from the donut series.
Okay, even I've tried the donut series. It was really fun.
Everyone has.
Yeah. Smith. Hey, Smith. Hi, bro.
Yes. Any questions for me?
Yes, there is one question. Yeah, it's on the screen.
Subsurface scattering. I actually am not really familiar with subsurface scattering, but um, if you add the subsurface scattering on an object, then it will work like a skin, like a human skin or anything. So it will, uh, what it will do is it will refract some amount of light and bounce it back. So that's how it works. It will just work like a skin. That's all I know.
Okay, so are you done with your modeling?
Yeah.
So, want to show us?
Um, it's been long. So
Uh, Smith, this is really cool. That's really. Can you rotate this scene? I mean,
Like what?
move this scene? Yes. Okay, so did you duplicate that?
Yes, I
Yes.
exactly. I just duplicate this sword and try to make a different handle for this one. That's all.
Okay, okay. Nice. This looks nice.
This is amazing, right?
Thanks.
It is. Vishesh, your turn.
Okay. I'll share my screen now. So this is my model, basic lighthouse. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
So
uh,
this is how it looks.
so realistic, man.
I
Thank you so
know,
much.
right?
Yeah, that's my scene. Nothing much.
No, it is like you've done really great job here.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Okay, my bad. I was muted. So there are lots of questions. So want to attend them right now or after the session?
No, actually, we are done with our content. So let's the other questions.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So here's this question. Uh, is it really true that polygons, like 3D models, are a bunch of polygons grouped together?
Yes, yes, it's true. Actually, it's true. Every single model is basically just made of vertices and edges connecting with each other and forming faces. So faces are just surfaces, right? We just saw that, and when there are a lot of faces in a geometry, then it will make it look like detailed and smooth mesh. That's how it works.
Okay. Then
Do we have any other questions? Like,
And also, if you have any questions after this session, you can contact us on Instagram. And
my bad. Okay, so here's this another question.
see, I have heard about rendering before in video editing. Can you show us how it works in Blender? In Blender, it is just like rendering an image or rendering an object. So if you import a video inside Blender, so there are frames, right? In every single video, they are made up of frames. Like they are in an order to make up a whole video. So it will render just as an image. It won't take much time to render unless and until you have much content into it. So if you have um, like if you are doing the VFX stuff, then it will take time, but it will just render out images in seconds. It won't take time. And I haven't been using it, so I don't know much about it. That's all I know.
Okay, so there's this question which lots of people have in their mind, that how should one start his or her journey in this field? And can you explain about the career and the scope for it?
yeah, if you start modeling, if you start with 3D modeling, then there are a lot of career choices available. You can be hired as a 3D artist. You can model for different game developing companies. You can model characters for, as I said, game developing companies. You can be a what I can say. You can design a plot for architectures, like how they plan sites. You can do that. So there are a lot of career paths available once you start 3D modeling.
Okay, and also like 3D modeling is a vast field, so
Yes,
and
and
it is really interesting, guys.
you won't like get any particular job like as a 3D modeler or as an animator. There are a lot of jobs you can get, like a lighting artist, a rotoscoping artist, retopologing artist, rigging artist, and a lot more.
Exactly.
And one curious question: are there gonna be more sessions just like this one?
Of course.
Yes, of course, we are going to make a playlist.
Really excited about it. Okay, so what's next?
That's all for today, I guess. We don't
Yeah,
have any. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you, Vishesh and Smit. That was an amazing talk. I really enjoyed it, and it was really fun to know how 3D works and how Blender works, the way you guys put your art forward. And if you people also enjoyed it and found it interesting, then don't forget to check out their effing cool artworks on Behance and Instagram. Check also they write their blogs, so it's linked in the below, and all the links are in the below. And also join our Discord community server if you want to learn more and want to ask questions about Blender. Link is in the comments as well as on the screen. And wait, one important and one really cool thing I forgot to tell you people: if you don't have GitHub Developer Pack, which gives students free access to the best developing tools in one place, so they can learn by doing it, get yours by following up the link in the description below. Thank you so much. That was all for today. Have a nice day and take care.
thank you everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.